So I guess we have all our audience admitted for today. Welcome everybody to our UFI Connect session for today that will discuss the status of the exhibition industry in the Middle East region with a focus on Saudi Arabia and the UAE. The session will be recorded. You may send your questions via the chat function below. As the pandemic crisis enters its 17th week and the lockdown its 5th week, the exhibition industry stands at a crossroads between postponement or cancellation, relocation or resizing, going virtual or hybrid, endure or change the business model, restructuring or dissolving companies. There doesn't seem to be an answer that fits all, or a scenario that suits everyone. In the meantime, SMEs and individuals of the industry are put under tremendous pressure as we started to see undesirable actions being taken, such as reduction in salaries, suspending contracts, or even terminating employment and suppliers' contracts, putting thousands of jobs at stake. Amid a looming Great Depression coupled with low oil prices, governments in the region, especially the Gulf states, are in a race to contain the virus, support their healthcare system, ease the lockdown, reduce the burden of the financial crisis on companies through economic stimulus packages that exceeded collectively among the Gulf states only $120 billion US. But now what? What's next? How do we plan our next move? How do we get ready for the comeback and the new normal? These questions and others will be discussed with my two distinguished guest speakers for today. Mr. Taiseer Al-Mallah, Executive Director of Saudi Exhibition and Convention Bureau at Ministry of Commerce and Investment, Saudi Arabia, and from the United Arab Emirates, Mr. Mubarak Hamad Al-Shamisi, Director of Abu Dhabi Exhibition and Convention Bureau, United Arab Emirates. Welcome, Taiseer. Welcome, Mubarak. Thank you for being with us today. Ramadan Kareem for you and for everyone who celebrates this holy month with us today.
Thank you very much, Dr. Afia and Naji, and thanks to all who's attending this session today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Khoya Naji. Thank you, our audience, for being here. I'm sure it's going to be a very exciting session.
Great, great. Yeah, I'm sure it will be. So as I said in my introduction, this is an unprecedented crisis because it's a dual crisis maybe, and there is no one answer to fit all, but at least we need to give some heads up on what's going on in terms of preparing and anticipating for the reopening of our industry. So I'd like to start with you, Taiseer, on the scene in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. We have witnessed a fast and steady growth in the exhibition industry in the kingdom for the past few years. So do you believe that it will be more difficult for exhibitions to rebound, or on the opposite, being a flexible young industry, this will make it easier and more receptive to any upcoming disruption in format or technology? So if you could tell us, please, this in the context of the situation of the industry now in the kingdom.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for hosting us today. I'm not gonna take long talking about the pandemic and what's happening in each country. Of course, everyone is knowing that. But the sector of exhibition and convention is part of all the other sectors. So it's being affected, it's being actually somehow damaged and stopped by this crisis.
Mm-hmm.
Now, looking at the sector for the coming, for me, and I have mentioned it before, the most
Mm-hmm.
difficult question is that until when this pandemic will keep happening. I think the most difficult question is that we don't have the answer for that question. We don't know until when, because usually when you put your plannings, you set your timelines for those plans, when they start, when they end, and what's in between. How are you going to manage the time between this and that? But in this time, you don't know. So everyone actually, whether locally or globally, is trying to putting their efforts to predict and estimate, but there is no right and wrong answers. What we are doing today, actually, if I'm gonna close my answer with this, is that we are trying to do two things at the time being. We are trying to manage and limit the effects of this pandemic nowadays when we reopen gradually. So we are trying to reopen the market. We will be trying to reopen the market gradually with some certain procedures. And I'm going to call this as the immediate or the short-term tactic. And the other side, we are trying actually to look at our strategy in the country, because this, whether we like or we don't like, it might even affect our strategies and priorities in the sectors, whether we are talking globally or locally. Opening to the world might be a bit different later on because of the travel
restrictions.
Yes. So this is in a nutshell how we are actually trying to think about this right now.
Okay, yeah, I totally agree with you, Taiseer. There's a lot of maybe speculations or predictions, but also on the other hand, there is a lot of hard work being done. I'll come back to you on more details on what is being done in Saudi Arabia on that end. But Mubarak, here I want to ask you about a specific point. There was a virtual or 3 virtual meetings that took place between some Abu Dhabi government authorities or departments related to economy and tourism with large investors and operators in tourism, in retail and contracting to discuss sector solutions. Can you give us a quick overview on key outcomes out of these meetings that took place, and was the exhibition industry in specific being discussed, or there is a plan for another at least Abu Dhabi level or UAE level discussion that considers the reopening and relaunching of the exhibition industry, as it is crucial, as you know, for the recovery of any economy?
Clear. Thank you, Naji, for this, and welcome again our audience.
Thank you.
Let me start with this, Naji. يعني, my colleague, يعني, Mr. Taiseer, have mentioned the importance of how should we react today as government, as sectors, during such situation that we haven't, at least in our lifetime, in my lifetime, we haven't seen such situation before. And what is the right and what is the right move that we should do, or what is the right situations? Now, since this pandemic happened, let me take it from government and then we'll go specifically to our sectors. A lot of things has been stopped, from events, different sectors, economy, travel, exhibitions, business events, you name it. And every sector has been affected. Therefore, government started right away putting the right plans or the right strategies, and I'm talking about governments everywhere around us, to tackle these kind of situation or these sectors by importance. They cannot tackle everything at the same time with the same importance. They have to go by priorities, which is, we all see, we all understand, safety comes first, and then we need to focus on the vital sectors, and then we go into those things. Now, saying that, the meetings or the virtual meetings has happened. This is a message from government and from everywhere around us actually. Today, working remotely or virtually is very important, and things has to go on as planned. Such situations shouldn't stop us where we are today. We need to go forward. We need to keep stepping and going forward and find the right solution or the best solution for that. Now, the meetings has happened in Abu Dhabi specifically, Naji, between the different sectors, and not specifically to the exhibition sector, but to the tourism. Today, just to clarify certain things in Abu Dhabi, the exhibitions and business events industry is catered and overlooked by the Convention Bureau under the tourism department. So the tourism was one of those sectors, economy and health and safety. They covered all these different points or different sectors, and what is the right and what is the status and what is the forward way or the future looking into such situation. What can we do? All these things. Definitely, a lot of things has came up as we are seeing. There is announcement between now and then when it comes in regards to financial aids, when it comes to certain packages that affects different sectors. Now, specifically to the exhibition industry, there is nothing specifically to the exhibition industry. But we have to understand something. The exhibition industry today is not a sector by itself. It connects to the economy, it connects to the travel, it connects to the everything.
Hospitality sector.
100%. And even other sectors, as mentioned.
The suppliers to the industry, yes.
You say it. But today, when the government comes, and we've seen this across the region, we've seen this very clearly. Correct me if I'm wrong here, Taiseer. We've seen this in Saudi Arabia. We've seen this in UAE. When the government comes and support the working force, when to ensure that the working force keeps continue and keeps doing its job. When the government comes and do some sort of support in regards to rent or delaying certain payments or delaying loans for certain periods, all this affects our industry, either we wanted it or not. It affects the BCOs, it affects the exhibitions, it affects everything. Let me put it in this way to make it looks nice, to make it looks clear for everyone. I think everything that the government does today to support its sectors, all sectors, and that's the beauty of our sector, about the business event sector. It touches every single sector you can imagine. I'm sure there is people here or exhibitors from oil and gas, from energy, from aviation, from health sector.
It's a fragmented ecosystem.
Exactly. So when you support all these sectors, you do support the business event industry and exhibition industry.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mubarak. I'll come back to the topic of the financial stimulus and the financial support to companies. Of course, the government has to support all its sectors. We are concerned into the event and exhibition mainly sector, so we'll talk more about it, and I will take the opinion of our audience in few moments. Before that, so I understand from you, Mubarak, from you, Taiseer, that there is no timeline for lifting the bans on large gatherings, in particular B2B exhibitions. We started to see in the UAE that malls are reopening with a certain capacity, with a 30% capacity. So we've seen this. So we've seen this is a concrete measure that was taken, and I was one of those who visited the mall the other day just to see how it is operating. There were some people, they were mostly walking around, but at least you could see life back. So that was the intention from my question about the reopening of exhibitions. Is there a timeline now, knowing that the exhibition industry will definitely not only abide by the restrictions, or let me call them measures, not restrictions, health and safety measures, but they will also help to develop them. And UFI is working on this on a global level. Again, is there a timeline for lifting bans on large exhibitions, in particular B2B exhibitions, or it is early to say this? Maybe Taiseer, you'd like to comment on this?
Wallahi, in short, there is no timeline. So let me give this answer to start with. But we are at the time being preparing a guidance for the market when it gets opened. So we want the sector to start reopening and gradually getting. But you know what's the issue, Naji? The issue is this sector is capitalized on people gathering, which the government doesn't want to happen. So it's a bit of a tricky. So when you make your measurements and guidance for the people to attend or to get together into an event, you need to make it really carefully, and you need to monitor it as well, so it doesn't, la samah Allah or la qaddar Allah, cause any spread of COVID-19 at any time for Haddad. But yes, so to answer your question, there is no set time for the ban to finish or to reopen the sector. But we are, as we stand today, preparing procedures and guidance. So when it gets reopened, we gradually start implementing. Of course, we will not go to the full speed and full capacity at once, but we will take it step by step. Like
Okay, great.
30%, maybe 50% capacity, then more and more.
Yeah, sure. I would love to know more about these guidances, and maybe we can take the discussion offline. Taiseer, if you would like to also know more about the UFI project. Mubarak, any timeline in the near mid future, or?
I do echo Mr. Taiseer points here, and I think this is the question not only for the region. I think this is worldwide, globally.
Exactly.
But specifically for UAE and specifically even more for Abu Dhabi, there is no timeline. Yes, we have seen in UAE the opening of certain malls under certain measurements, but we try to think that today when we're talking about exhibitions, we are talking about people who travels abroad. It's totally different game. So and even to restore the trust within the organizers and the associations to travel again under safety measures, hopefully it doesn't take that long of a time. Like, it will take time, but no, there is no time. There is no known time specifically. We've seen, and I'm being very transparent here, we've seen a lot of postponement of events since the beginning of the COVID-19 to be pushed by Q3 and Q4 of this year. But again, until today, we are not sure how things will be by then. So every day there is certain updates in such situations. So it's really up to the latest trends. And this is known news. But again, we reflect on this time specifically within the Convention Exhibition Bureau in Abu Dhabi. And we are actually for the past couple of weeks looking into new strategies, new trends, a new, let's say, game plan to first of all to support our local business events industry within Abu Dhabi and UAE, the Arab Emirates, to restore the faith, the trust in traveling again. And this is not a sole player game. This is everyone's role, I think, from the different streams within the business events. Either it was destinations, or it was venues, or it was BCOs, or DMCs, or airlines. All have to speak the same language. Today we are talking about the same ecosystem, the same audience, the same delegates. We need to carry out this same message, that how can we restore the trust of traveling again. So we are putting plans in order. What is our next plans, which we're going to announce soon, inshallah, during COVID-19 and post-COVID-19, inshallah, and to see how we're going to tackle this.
Great, because one thing we've read that Dubai may start receiving or welcoming tourists in July again. And in Abu Dhabi, we read that the tourism sector or travel sector will be revitalized end of the year. So is any of these two an indication to the starting back to normal, or still just discussion and planning phase?
Again, I will make sure of the source of the information. But in general, Naji, if I may say this very openly, today all the information has been communicated today when it comes to travel and opening its doors and borders. I think it's been communicated officially. But again, I can tell you this for sure. It's still too early to say. We are in Abu Dhabi and in UAE. We're very optimistic about the future, to be honest. I hope that things will get back soon. We'll get back to normal very soon. But we know it's going to be affected. It's not going to be the same. It's going to be different. So how are we tackling this? We're seeing a very nice, beautiful strategies and ways of doing things from certain destinations and close by regions and countries when it comes how to cater to the current situation today. But today you are not alone. Airfare, aviation is connected to everyone. Travel is connected to everyone. So it takes time.
Exactly. It's all interconnected. Now this is the part I love most. hearing from our audience. So we're going to launch a polling question. My colleague Pascal will do it. Please answer this question. Which measure you support the most to be implied to exhibitions in the reopening phase? So there will be many measures. Let's see our audience, which measure they support the most. Is it spaced out stands and aisles, strict hygiene measures, limited number of visitors per square meter, virtual components of international exhibitors for international, exhibitors or visitors, all of the above, or none of the above? Interesting.
We're allowed to participate. Huh?
No, I don't think so. Yeah, I'm not participating as well, so I guess we're on the same. But you can have the answer in your head, and then you tell me later what you think. So I think we got most of the answers. Yes, let's stop the, okay. And here are the results. So all of the above, 44%, 62% of the audience think that all of the above should be implied in the reopening phase of exhibitions. But in the single measure, strict hygiene measures should be implied. Only 1% said none of the above. And this is what I wanted to pass to you, Taiseer, that definitely the industry is I mean, well responsible, and we definitely value the face-to-face meetings big time, and this is the core of our industry. However, the safe or the well-being of our stakeholders and our people is at utmost priority. So I'm sure there is a way, and I look forward to working with you, with everyone else on those guidances for the next phase. So we'll stop sharing the results. Yes, Taiseer.
Sorry, I didn't get a specific question from you, Naji, but I have just one point before I commence talking. Is there any, and sorry for asking this in public, is there any session at the end of this session or part where we hear from the audience, we hear their notes or questions?
Yes.
For me, and I think for us as responsible people for these sectors in these countries, we would like to hear the people questions actually from themselves, if it's available.
100%. Our audience will be sending their questions through the chat function on the same session, and I will receive them and I'll ask them to you.
Great. And now going back to the point you mentioned, you want to ask a specific question, or you want me just to?
No, I wanted to just to emphasize on the fact that B2B exhibitions are not similar maybe to other public events that take place. The players of the industry are well aware of the problem, and if we reopen our exhibitions, it will be only with the best practices in safety for our exhibitors and visitors. And because we've seen that some governments have put the B2B exhibitions or the trade exhibitions at the same level of festivals, for example, that I believe it's okay if they are, I don't want anyone to hate me here, but if it is okay to be, postponed a little bit more, where you have thousands of people all in one place going to have fun in a concert. Also, when we talk B2B exhibitions, we should, I think, differentiate a little bit the mandate and raison d'être of those exhibitions. That was my my point.
Right. Let me try to say it quickly. I have 3 points to highlight here. The first one, it's very important to put the right mindset or to set the stages with the audience when it comes to when is the sector is coming back in full. Because looking at the companies right now, or before even the companies, looking at the travel should, from my own point of view, and don't quote it as a government a statement, but from my point of view, the travel, I don't see the travel is coming back before long months from today. And when it comes back, because, and why I'm saying that, because the speed of the spread of this virus is really extraordinary. And let's assume that one of the countries got already خلاص cleared of the virus. Once they open the travel, there will be any given chance that the virus come back again to the same country because they have opened the flights. But nevertheless, I'm not the one who's specialized to talk about this. Second, the companies have already suffered, and they will maybe for a longer time span of time, they will be suffering from the less revenues and financial issues and employees. So it will be a burden on them. So going back to traveling to attend exhibitions will not be easy for them for the given, let's say, 1 year to come. It won't be easy. So I'm just setting, the right, because we don't want to and then people get wrong perceptions. And you mentioned that the face-to-face, and my last third point, you mentioned that the face-to-face events or gatherings for B2B or for whatever given type of events is the core and is the soul of the business events. But let me ask you this question, and I always try to look at things differently. Since we are in a very extraordinary circumstances, we need to treat it in different ways, not in ordinary ways. We need to treat it differently. So we need to look at it and think about it differently. Why face-to-face is the core and the only successful way of gathering and meeting B2B? Maybe this could evolve. Maybe this could change with technology. You never know, but you need to think about it from today. I think, Anna, if you ask me, and I want to conclude here, not to take longer time, if there is a time, if there is a period of time where there is an immense chance or opportunities that we could think differently about, it's this time. Yes, everyone is suffering. Everyone is actually speculating, and they don't know exactly when this will happen. But there is a chance here, and I think we need to look at it differently.
Yeah. Thank you, Taiseer. There is a question here that comes also from the audience. Maybe Mubarak, you can comment on this. What specific measures, concrete measures, are exhibition and convention bureaus taking to support the organizers in the next phase, be it in regulations, in waiving some fees maybe? Are you considering something like this, promoting, internationally the local exhibitions through maybe the embassies of the UAE all over the world, things like this?
Clear. I'm Naji. And before I go to this question, I just want to echo one point Taiseer mentioned, which is we really need to look into this period as time for opportunities. As we had this a discussion before the meeting, Taiseer, is that today yes, it's challenging times. We don't just need to focus on how things will get back to normal, but let's see what is the opportunity today that we haven't looked into. How can we overachieve them or can take advantage of these things until we get back to normal? I just wanted to comment on that one because it's, I'm one of the biggest supporters of opportunities in such current times in a positive way. Back to your question, Naji, definitely. I think convention bureaus, venues, destinations plays a very, and even government, a very big role in the business events industry and in exhibitions specifically. Today, as you have been seeing today, and I will have to thank, of course, AIBC and UFI for the guidance, for guidelines for turning convention centers into field hospitals and contributing to that. Do you see the ways of contribution each one's place? Even such guidelines here today plays a big role. Today, ADNEC, Abu Dhabi National Exhibition Center, is turned into a field hospital for more than I don't remember exactly how many thousand beds in Abu Dhabi to take the burden out of the main hospitals. Okay, so the main hospitals can cure or focus on the crucial situations. But such alignment and help from different parties of the industries plays a big role. Now, when we talk about venues, yes, convention centers might be government heavy, supported by, or let's say mainly government owned, but even BCOs, even convention center exhibitions, and even private sectors can play a big role. Now, when it comes to the convention center, Convention Bureau, Abu Dhabi Convention and Exhibition Bureau, and the Department of Culture and Tourism, we did already put and announce some strategies or some funds, either it was non-financial funds, and inshallah, soon we'll announce more. But when it comes to licensing fees, when it comes to delaying certain payments, when it comes to the commitment government made for certain events that will happen during such times, all these, of course, goes without saying. We are supporting, we are doing so. Plus, in addition to this, we are introducing a new means, a new, I don't want to say funding because you're going to ask me, Naji, what exactly the funding is, but how soon? But
I will ask.
I know you will, but there is certain measures that the government have done in order to push this, as I've seen in the beginning, the overall sectors of the government. But definitely, Naji, they play a huge, tremendous role. And I just have to say this, and I'm very pro business events, so it's in my blood. I think it's our role as convention centers, and again, Taiseer, what you guys did in Saudi Arabia, it's huge. And I think even from associations, Naji, and other players in the business events industry, we need to make sure and to showcase our industry to the government or to the destination, to put importance and influence on our sector, because today it's hard for us. Not everywhere. Maybe we are blessed in GCC of the support of our governments for the business events, but we need everyone to see the business events industry today. It's as important as #1 priority sectors within destinations.
Yeah, I see. So you both spoke about maybe private-public partnership, at least, to come out with certain guidelines for the way forward. So can I ask, and this is also a question from our audience to you both, are you seeking input from organizers to help build your strategies, or this is something done more internally with other government departments? Maybe Taiseer, if you want to shed the light on this, are you involving event organizers, venues, maybe suppliers to the industry in this, or it's now still internal until further development?
No, there is nothing is still internal, because we are actually by our organizers and our providers and by our venue owners. We take the feed from themselves, not from us. And we have created actually a working team, more than 45 people, from organizers, from venue owners, and from suppliers and providers. So we have more than 45 people working today on actually trying to answer the two elements I mentioned at the beginning. What is the short-term limiting damages of the crisis today when we reopen, and what is the exit strategy once this pandemic is over? How can we become better and stronger, and maybe with altered strategies and priorities? So yes, we are working with the private sector as we stand.
Amazing, good to hear this. Mubarak, same as well for
same thing. We do take input from our stakeholders and the private stakeholders. Now, when I say investor here today, I'm talking about even the private sector's players. But yes, we do take feedback from them, because today I'm a big believer today what those guys makes or the players in the industry, they make the most of the business. We need to hear from them. All our steps and future plans need to cater to their needs.
Definitely. Let's go now thank you, Mubarak. Let's go now to polling number 2, question number 2, Pascal. have you changed your business model in any way to navigate this crisis? So there are, companies are changing even their business model. They are repurposing maybe their businesses. So the options are yes, entirely, yes, partially, no, not sure what to do, or no, things will go back to normal. So we're getting the answers as we talk. So obviously the majority of our audience is saying that yes, we are changing our business model partially. 10% only said entirely. Would be interesting to know later how did this happen. Maybe we have success stories here and case studies to be, shared with others. 12% say no, not sure what to do, and a good 10% think that they didn't change because things will go back to normal. Maybe a new normal, but it's going to be somehow close to the existing normal we do. Interesting. So let me now go more in depth, if possible, about those stimulus packages, Mubarak and Taiseer. We know that there were economic stimulus packages released by the governments in KSA and UAE. One is $30 billion, the other is $27 billion with special support for SMEs. I understand these are definitely for all sectors, not for a specific sector, but do you see that there is a clear way how to apply and benefit from these stimulus packages? Do they come in the form of direct funding or easy loans, etc.? And is there a way to go through to apply? Let me start by application. We know that there is a stimulus package. I'm an SME. What do I do? Taiseer.
I can't explain what can you do exactly because I didn't actually memorize the methodology, but
maybe where to go first.
One second. When they first were announced in the country, yes, they were announced as packages and bundles to the private sector. Then, yes, there was like a couple of days where it wasn't clear what's the methodology and where to go exactly to get these benefits, but it was only a matter of a couple of days. After that, all the important responsible entities, be it the Ministry of Finance, be it SAMA, be it GOSI, and actually the Ministry of Human Resources, all of them, and in collaboration with the Chamber of Commerce, they have released, let me call it a guidance for the business owners and entrepreneurs where to go exactly for each one of these funds. So each one of them, you will go to a certain entity to utilize this fund.
Amazing.
Yes.
Amazing. This is already very, very helpful. Mubarak, do you want to comment on this? I know you have mentioned it. If you have anything to add.
No, it's as mentioned, the support came different from different parties, from central bank and from the government. And each of those entities, either it was a government, the economy department or the finance department or other departments, each has their own platform to communicate with their own stakeholders and their own parties. So we made sure, or they make sure that they communicate this very, very clearly.
Okay, great. So there is a question for you, Mubarak, as well. Someone from our audience is asking, with Dubai Expo 2020 looking very likely to be postponed or even postponed, I think today the new dates were approved. Do you think this will have an impact on Abu Dhabi in specific? That question came from our audience.
Impact in a sense of, let me say this. We see Expo 2020 as a UAE and regional.
As a UAE initiative, yes.
That goes without saying. Now, postponing or no postponing, I think the decision will be made based on the best solution, giving the best times and all that. And I think the track record, the history track record says, alhamdulillah, we try always to make the best out of everything that we do here, alhamdulillah, in UAE and in the region specifically. Now, will it affect or will not affect? I can say very obviously, Expo 2020 definitely it will affect the whole Emirates in a very positive way. Okay, when it will happen in UAE and specifically on Dubai. Being postponed, I think I don't have a direct answer if it's going to affect or no, but if it's not going to happen, then definitely it's going to affect us positively when it's going to happen, either this year or next year, or whenever it's been announced. But again, we are interlinked when it comes to business events within UAE. Yeah. We've seen a lot of big events happen in Abu Dhabi and results in a later stage for smaller events happens in Dubai and the other ways. The same thing with UAE and other countries around us. So everything affects each other in a very direct way.
Exactly, they are correlated. So I'll go to the next polling question now, which is related to my previous question. Let's see what people know about the government or non-government economic stimulus packages. So the question is, have you benefited or applied to any of those? So it could be that yes, I benefited. Yes, I applied only, waiting. No, I don't know how to apply. And no, I haven't heard of such program in my country. Obviously, our audience comes from like a large number of countries. So it's not only from UAE and Saudi Arabia, obviously. However, the answers are coming in. And we see that a good like 46% said either I benefited or I applied only. And this is great. This is good actually to hear that. So I'd like to ask anyone in the audience if you can go to the chat function and share something that worked well with you, with others. Maybe others also can benefit. 14%.
Naji.
Yes.
I think we have seen 40% they haven't heard, but are they based here in UAE or
the region?
This audience, are they based here or based outside?
It's global. It's global. Focus on Middle East. Obviously, we can go back to details, but I wanted to stress on the first two that they know about it, and some of them applied, and some of them benefited already, and the total is like 46%, which is significant. Those who haven't heard, it could be that they haven't heard, or it could be they are in countries that there was no, special economic packages, and fewer people say, I don't know how to apply. So if anyone can share on the chat any successful action on this, please do for others to benefit. As time is,
Naji, I just want to stress for those who are in UAE or KSA and they haven't got a chance to benefit from these packages, and I think maybe Mubarak will share me this thought. Please contact us, come to us. Let us help you out how to reach to these bundles and packages.
Amazing.
100%. 100%.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
It might be just a matter of communication.
Yeah.
Agreed. True. So I'd like to end up this session with a joint question for both of you. I hope we can end it on a positive note. Yes, things will be better. We will survive. There is no doubt. Maybe the question is not if we will survive this crisis. The question is maybe when. So, in very brief statements, how do you see the future of the industry in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and in the UAE? To start with you, Taiseer, how do you see how can you describe the future of the industry, considering, let me say this, that the pandemic will be over and the medical solution for it will be found. Do you think we will be back to business as usual, or back to business as unusual, to a new usual that will be created throughout the next months? Again, considering the pandemic will end and there will be a vaccine. Of course, we cannot put all the variables together.
طيب, just يعني for me, if you allow me to give a note,
Sure.
I suggest for the questions that are coming to us, one I start answering, and the second one my brother Mubarak start answering. So it's one-on-one, because I would like actually to hear his point of view before I say mine. So maybe I even benefit from what Mubarak is saying, and maybe I even just balancing the answers between myself and Mubarak. If you agree, Mubarak.
Sure, طبعا أخوي تيسير, with all means. Definitely. Now, the question was, أخوي Naji, is
how do you see the future of the
future
industry? Yeah, considering the pandemic will be over.
Let me say this very honestly. I think we, as human beings, we tend to bounce back, and this is in our nature. I see it very positively flourishing, to be honest. I feel that the first time, or the first period when this COVID-19 situation disappears or finishes, and all the ban will be removed, I think we will see huge impact on business events, on venues and all that. And we have been hearing this through a couple of webinars I participated in from certain venues around the globe, where they see huge demand on the first quarter of 2021, which is
it's a good problem to have.
Exactly, it's very good, which means that people doesn't say that we're gonna finish our business and that's it. No, we're gonna bounce back very strongly. But now we know there is a huge talk around the business events in our industry, to the virtual and to the hybrid events. And we have to say we are in one of such platforms today. I'm very interested to see how this will develop in the future. I'm pro hybrid events. I think hybrid events will play a big part. We did a couple of pilots in specific events we did here in Abu Dhabi, because we had some specific events in certain sectors, culture and other ways. So usually the people who attend such events are somewhere around 2,000 or 3,000 delegates, right? And when we did the hybrid thing, I think it was 3 times over the number. It was somewhere around 10,000 people who attended overall. So all that I'm saying, as a tool that it will support the industry, it's going to be great. But we're going to see new regulations and new policies, new ways of doing incentives, and new ways of conducting business events, which is very interesting. I think all in our own benefit. I don't know what your thoughts.
But I totally agree with you, Mubarak, and I think even to build on that, if we are trying to predict how it will look like in the near future, or after this crisis is over, you can't decide. Of course, you can't say that there will be a totally new usuality to the business. Definitely, the normal ways of conducting businesses, of events, will keep happening for a time to come. But look at the previous incidents of revolutions and evolutions at any given product or markets. Usually, a new technology comes, then it kills the technology before. Think about anything like the touch phones. They came and they ended the era of the Blackberries and Nokia and all these technologies. But at this time, there wasn't a technology that came and ended the normal ways of doing business events. Actually, there's a crisis. Maybe that's opening some windows and doors to think differently about it.
For innovation, yes.
I will. And if there is a message I want to pass to audience we have today, and to my brother Mubarak, and to you guys, and to all of us, please start thinking differently. Start and take some risks, because actually taking risk is delicious and it's good. It feels good actually when you do your business. And taking risk means that you might have a bigger chance of winning in the future. So think differently. Think about virtuals. Think about technology that connect people. I don't want to list all the thoughts, but I'm just sliding a message that start thinking differently today. Don't wait after the class is finished.
I think UFI and other associations around, and even PCOs, because I'm very transparent here, because this virtual thing with Taiseer plays a very, and the audience plays, I know it's the hot topic goes in our industry today. It's the virtual meetings, how it's going to be, what's going to affect, and all these things. So we see associations which they are pushing towards the actual traditional face-to-face meeting. We see big investments in organizations or show organizers, which plays a huge investment in actual exhibitions. Imagine that's gone and everything is done through virtually. It might be much more beneficial, commercially, might be much more beneficial conducting this virtually. But what is the model? What is the algorithm? This is yet to be determined. And whoever or how is this going to be developed, or whoever is going to own this, going to dictate a lot of new things to our industry that we haven't seen or we haven't heard of in a good positive way.
Perfect, Mubarak. I think let me try to, maybe we share this thought that starting to think differently about virtual meetings doesn't mean the end for traditional and normal ways of meeting. People will still meet, but the balancing in and balancing out, phasing in, phasing out. Exactly. Maybe they get balanced. Maybe they both get the same importance at a later stage of the time. But yes, and if you guys, as you stated, Mubarak, if some associations and organizations are having some, they want to push some priorities, let's talk with them. We can talk with them. We can have some conferences with them and discuss it openly. This is the time to discuss with the organizations.
100%.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think at the end of the day, beyond the commercial or gains, I think what's most important is the value we offer to our stakeholders who are exhibitors and visitors. So if they would think that face-to-face is the core of this industry and they want to still do it, but maybe with the support of the technology, with a virtual twist to support and prepare for the face-to-face meetings, then let it be. I'm sure most of the exhibition organizers will embrace those technologies, but it is now very important to endure this crisis to reach a place where they can execute the strategies that they are putting now that you have talked about, both of you, Mubarak and Taiseer. We have a last polling question, Pascal, if we may, before ending. Do you expect that all exhibitions booked in the last quarter of 2020 in the region will take place as planned? So this is a total subjective question to each and every one. So it could be yes, but with strict health and safety measures. Yes, but with modifications in size format. No, we will witness few more. I think there is a missing word here, cancellations or postponement. Most of them will be postponed again to 2021. Okay, I think we have the same pool of people who said yes, with modifications in size, format, plus health and safety guidelines. and the same portion of people, 31%, say no, most of them will be postponed again to 2021. Do you want to comment on this, Mubarak, before we close very quickly and give your final maybe hint to our audience today?
Final hint, I don't know, but first of all, yes, definitely, it's great to see other people expectations about 2020 or Q4 of 2020. Again, it's too soon to tell, but I have to say this. I can end with this. During this time, I think we have to be passionate of what we do. What we do as professionals in the business events industry overall, exhibitions, associations, meeting industries, you name it. I think it's very beautiful thing, and it helps our industries and our sectors and our destinations and our definitely businesses. But I think during such times, take opportunity, stay together. Let's have a huge brainstorm of what is the way we have to look into such platforms. Naji today, UFI presented to us, and other associations and other platforms is great for brainstorming. I can say for myself specifically, the past month and a half, the number of webinars and platforms I have been part of, and the information I've got from all different sort of stakeholders really grew my knowledge in this industry by years. So it's really interesting to see how things gonna look into. Stay together, stay safe, and let's stay positive and optimistic. Things will bounce back, inshallah, and we're gonna be all in the right direction and within the right business.
Yes, hopefully. Thank you, Mubarak. Taiseer, would you like to end with anything, whether commenting on the previous polling or your own notes?
Wallahi, I would second what Mubarak said. Actually, it's important to have such meetings and gathering. But honestly, I know big numbers will not be easy if everyone is talking and so on. But it will be, Naji, more beneficial if we hear from the people. Hearing from the guy or from our audience is really actually a plus. It gives us insights, not only reading them on text, on chat, or doing the poll. We need to hear people. And I would actually, we are doing this on a weekly basis here with our private sector. But if there will be a platform that we hear the entire region, maybe the globe platform here with you guys in a weekly or maybe a bi-weekly every 2 weeks, it will be amazing actually. So we can make sessions that are set for certain objectives on that day that we hear from people, we discuss with them, so we get insights from them.
Understood. Yeah, we can easily.
And they get, and I don't want the sessions to be one-way communication, so they hear us only. I want it to be that, yes, they hear us because they want to hear from entities that are responsible of running these sectors. But we as well want to hear back from them. We wanted a dialogue actually and exchangeable thoughts.
Indeed, we can arrange this. Thank you so much. With these positive notes, we come to the end of our session today. I would like to thank our speakers again for today. Mubarak, Taiseer, thank you so much. Thanks to our amazing audience who came from 30 countries. This is to answer your question, Taiseer. Big thanks to our diamond sponsors. TSAP, Qatar National Tourism Council, Shenzhen World, Freeman. Until we meet again, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay positive. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you very much, everyone. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
نشوفكم على خير. مع السلامة.
مع السلامة.